Take that, Sopa. This is Screaming Rebels podcast, episode 10. I'm Hector, and this is
Jorge.
And we're going to start talking about Sopa, Pippa, and then we're also going to be talking about the most recent technological devices, I guess, that are coming out for 2012.
Yeah, so we're going to have a techno party, just stick around and...
Some Daft Punk.
Oh, yeah.
And the one that we just played was...
Hectic Zenith. That's Hectic. Zenith is Zeniths, just like the TV. And you can download it for free right now if you go to kitchendip.org. It's something that I found on the internet and I really enjoyed. I really like Kitchen Dip stuff that they release. And it's something that I was really excited about. You can also sample it if you go to Facebook and just type in Hectic Zenith. You can listen to all the stuff if you enjoyed what you just heard.
Did you talk to this guy? Or?
No, I haven't. Oh. I guess I should send a message. I should say, I really enjoy your music. I wanted to I wanted to get it on vinyl. That was the problem. I remember. And you could purchase it if you want to contribute to him so he can create more better music. He has it right now in MP3 and CD format.
And so, for the people that don't know, right now we're live, and you can watch us on Facebook. If not, I have my handy little camcorder that will go ahead and put this show on segments on YouTube. So we'll go ahead and start. Do you want to start with Sopa? And I'm not talking Fidel.
Yeah. I guess we should start with Sopa and people because that's something that's really huge. In the the news right now, for people that don't really know what it is, would you like to introduce a little bit about it?
SOPA is Stop Online Privacy Act. And then PIPA is Protection of Internet
Privacy Act?
Yeah, it's a Privacy Act.
Yeah, so they both are, and they're both very similar in the way they're designed and the way they're made up.
And for people that don't know, they tried to pass it earlier, and I guess Congress came to a junction hole where they kind of paused the whole passing of it.
Well, there's a few things, actually. I don't know if you noticed this, but as we got ready for this podcast, I started researching, and I looked up because the innovations that we're going to be talking about in technology is because Las Vegas just had their annual huge electronics expo there, in which people come from all over the world to try to reveal what will be the next newest big thing either this year or in the coming ensuing years. The guy who helps to run that expo asked Congress to please hold off on the SOPA and the PIPA acts, so this way they wouldn't decide before all this came out, because they knew that there was since this is an electronic expo, that it would ruin, or it would be really harmful to a lot of the devices innovations that people are coming out with. So he was one of the people to say, hey, can you hold off and continue the discussions until later on this month?
So let's break it down. The whole thing is about piracy and trying to stop piracy at a complete level. But there's also people who have talked about it who is actually saying that's also going to take the freedom, a right of learning anything else from other countries as well, because the government's going to kind of decide what we can download and what we can see and what we can't see.
Yeah, and we're going to try to cover all, aspects of it. I mean, we're not trying to be, super biased against it. Hector has done a phenomenal job of getting a lot of information as who opposes it and who supports it. Yeah. Because there are, obviously, if this is inside Congress, there's a lot of supporters. So there's a lot of companies that are backing this. So there's a lot of money involved in this, on both sides of the table.
And the interesting thing is, we'll just get right into it. I was reading and watching some stuff on the articles and doing a little bit of information, and I actually found it fascinating that a lot of people had said that because of this whole thing that it's to protect the artists and everything else as well. But the thing that they brought up was that what am I trying to say? That they brought up it's the American growth of making money in the industry is only 23% of what America collects. So that's a very small, significant, thing.
Well, this is only one part of it. One part is the music industry, and the other part, of course, is the movie industry. The big supporter for that you have is, of course, the Motion Picture Association of America. As opposed to the recording industry.
Hold on, sorry.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what it is. Is this better?
It was echoing really crazy.
Oh, okay. I thought you had reverb on.
No.
I thought you were trying to make me sound sexy.
No.
Oh, okay.
I was auto-tuning it.
Auto-tune. I know I sound so out of tune now, more realistic.
Yeah.
I think I like the other voice. Now I gotta change my voice so I can sound like this. So, but yeah, there's a whole bunch of different people that are supporting it. Of course, you got like Warner Music. Warner Brothers covers a whole bunch of things. CBS is a different one. CBS is, of course, owned by Viacom, which is one of the largest entertainment corporations out there. If you don't know Viacom, it's on just about every program. At the end, they'll show it, a little snippet. They're the ones who own MTV, VH1, CBS, and I think the list just continues to go on. I mean, it's a really long list of all these stations and music, and so basically that's the reason why now when you try to watch one thing, you're really watching everything's almost all the same.
One of the rumors that I heard was they said that if you would make a YouTube video and say it was your son's birthday or your kid's birthday and that, and all of a sudden there's a song in the background or there's something on the TV, that they would actually pull it off because they're thinking that you're breaking the Privacy Act because you're infringing on that right.
Well, how about if you sing "Happy Birthday" then to your son, and it's because you know how
is there actually a creator of it? That's the
"Happy Birthday," and someone was telling me that it's now public domain, but I didn't have a chance to look it up. But you know, "Happy Birthday" was owned by Disney.
Is public domain still going to be a public domain with HIPAA?
Yeah, I think it will. I mean, because come on, I mean, if someone's playing Mozart, who's really going to kind of try to complain?
Because
who's losing out on that? Yeah, well, that's, I mean, in that case, then, I mean, people's got to, well, that's the thing, though. I mean, now we're talking about other countries, you know, because you just said, like, Mozart family. Well, then you'd have to go, like, to Germany or something. And we just got a notification for something that was really loud. But if this gets passed with, like PIPA or SOPA, then other countries are going to have to start to develop, acts to either support America or go completely against it. And that's the other problem, because people are saying that even if, the government tries to crack down on all these torrent sites that are based here in the U.S., how are they supposed to crack down on the ones that are outside of the U.S.? Yeah. So now the new problem is if you're trying to, crack down on them, now you have to actually really filter the internet in order to crack down on all the ones outside of the country. Now, I've heard a lot of people say, oh, the government don't know what they're doing, they're not going to be able to do this, and I say, no, I think they do know what they're doing, and the scary part is they will do it. Like, if you think, oh, well, I'll just get some sort of application outside the country, let's see them stop me from downloading now, I think they will do it, and they will crack down on you. And a really good example is something that just came out into the in the news. Let's see, it must have happened last Thursday. Was Mega Upload? Yeah,
they got stopped. They pulled the site completely, and you were talking about they even arrested the owner or the once creator of Mega Upload.
Yeah, and right now he's facing up to 50 years in federal prison for the crime that he committed. Where you have other people who create, of course, violent crimes who can be released, a lot sooner, in just a few months or sometimes a couple of years. And I mean, 50 years is a lot in a federal prison for something that, I mean, Martha Stewart didn't even get that much. And she was inside trader.
And she was gangster.
Yeah. And she knits her own socks.
Yeah, and decoupages her own cell.
Yeah, she does. So, I mean, but what I think is really interesting about this, and I'm not sure if you caught that, but in retaliation, the whole group that goes by Anonymous, the hackers, decided to mess with the FBI and their websites. So a list of some of the websites that they did crash down for that day was the Justice Department, the FBI's website, the White House website, the Motion Picture Association of America, the Recording Industry Association of America, the U.S. Copyright Office, the CBS.com, Warner Music, and Universal Music. So when they did this, and then they not only did they do that, but on Monday evening, because this is when they did everything, they went to the Federal Trade Commission and they put their own they put their own logo that they have. I mean, it's kind of popular now, and they put a message saying that if this gets passed, we will start a war with you guys. So now they're either calling it cyber war or World War.
World War Cyber?
No, it's like World War Internet or something like that. Like, they're saying basically they're going to start a huge war. And they said that the amount of people that it took to crash all these sites, they had over 5,000 people all working at the same time in order to shut down these sites. Like,
you know what amazes me is that these huge companies have these, you know, firms that are built to protect these walls and that, and some of these probably anonymous are just kids that just have a lot of time and a lot of energy to go ahead and crash something where somebody else is getting paid probably hundreds of thousands of dollars a year for this not to happen.
Well, I mean, we're not telling you to go do this. Just like we tell you, we always put disclaimers at all of our podcasts because we sometimes give away too much info. But the way most of them do it is, you're right, they're just your average daily kids. They're not really hackers. But what they do is, Anonymous has helped other people to figure these things out. So they send out links to the website, because Anonymous has a Twitter, and they're really good about keeping it updated. I follow that one, and they're always posting all the stuff that's happening. But you go to this website, and it shows you basically how to create a file to put up like JavaScript on a certain website. So let's say you work for the White House, and you happen to click on a link. But when you do, there's a JavaScript code embedded within the website that you didn't know about, and now it's flooding your server. So the way they crash the websites is they flood it with too much information, and their firewalls can't stop it because you clicked on it, so you accepted it. And as it goes through, there's too much information, and down goes your server. So your server can go down for anywhere between, let's say, an hour before the tech guys bring it back up to a full day or even multiple days. But the hardcore hackers are like the ones that went to, of course, the FTC to actually put up their own logo. And I've seen when they do that, like, it's really crazy. They'll say, we just hacked into so-and-so, like on Twitter, and you click on it, and sure enough, there will be there. You go to the official website, and Anonymous has completely taken it over.
No, one of the peoples that fear it are the online search engines for feeling like if they don't do any justice in protecting the piracy thing, and they're talking about the torrents and that, because now they're saying that if you take off the search engine where you can check where you can type up like wherever you want to upload stuff, it's not going to bring it up anymore. Yeah. So you would actually have to go on the top part and then
so is that why Google's so? I mean, because I know Google was against it.
Yeah.
Or well, they're still against it.
Or if you saw, was it Tuesday night? From midnight, they decided to block Google's name completely off of it. Yeah. And Wikipedia actually went offline for the full day to protest and everything else. And we have one of the anonymous. But that's one of the most interesting things is that the people that are fearing it are search engine companies such as Yahoo, Bing, Google and all that, because they say if the government finds that they're infringing and helping out these people for the piracy or not doing enough job of blocking these places, then they would be fined, and those things can be so much money that they would go out of business, and that's what their fear is.
Well, and you're right. Well, and a lot of them went down. That day that you're talking about, in case, and it's funny because it's not really that much in the news, because the day it happened, I remember my dad watches the news all the time, so I remember talking to my father and I said, has the news talked about the websites not closing? And he goes, what are you talking about? And he had no idea. And I was like, well, if you go today to Wikipedia, you can't access it. Like, they shut it down completely. And there was three main ones, which was Wikipedia, Reddit, and Boing Boing were the ones that completely shut theirs down. Like, there was...
the other ones kind of put a little censor bar in front of them.
Yeah, Google put a censor bar, and Google's always been really good, especially with holidays when they change their whole logo and stuff. You can click on the actual Google. And it takes you somewhere, so this way you can find out more. So
usually Wikipedia.
Yeah. Well, this time it wasn't, because Wikipedia was down. So Google designed their own webpage that talked about SOPA and PIPA and like why they're against it and what the whole bar was about. And then they also said if you're against it, to write your representative. So all you had, and I did, that's what I did. Yeah. You type in your zip code, they tell you who all your representatives are and how to email them. And I just went through and I just sent them out. And I basically said, I'm not going to vote for you ever again.
Yeah. And so the other thing that they were talking about, this act will actually cost the Americans about $47 million for 4 years of them running this piracy.
Well, I mean, that didn't stop them from doing their war on drugs, supposedly, which still costs us a lot of money, and they make a lot more money off of it. So, I mean, it's kind of ridiculous, you know. I mean, really, it's about money, though, you know, and all of this.
So, my whole thing with you being an artist and all that, what are your feelings about SOPA and PIPA?
Well,
hats?
This isn't the first time this debate has come up. I mean, this debate really came up, I mean, if you remember back in the Napster days.
Yes.
You know, with the whole Metallica thing, and, you know, what should be available for free and what shouldn't be. You had artists that were already had made it that were completely divided on it, and like some of them were like, hey, you know what, we're gonna we support file sharing and, you know, free downloads, and the other ones were like, no, you know, they should pay for it. Being an artist, I think, because it's gonna make it a lot harder even for us to try to get something out there for free. You know, because they're gonna say, well, are you sure that it's, you know, there's nobody backing you up, and, you know, it's gonna be harder,
questionable kind of thing. Yeah,
I mean, the internet has made it much easier for exposure. You know, I mean, if I really wanted to, I could start going and trying to, you know, solicit my music in different countries. You know, one of my friends, well, you know him, Adrian, you know, that goes by the alias of Kid A. He has a listener in Russia. You know, for his music that likes it, which is even just probably about as much surprising. Sorry, and so, you know, but I think it's very interesting. You know how, you know, that the internet has made everything so accessible.
And a lot of people have also spoken. Artists have spoken. Like, you really don't know how much an artist makes. People think they make hundreds of millions of dollars on selling albums alone. They actually get a fraction of a cent of each sale that they get. Where artists actually get their money and get revenue from is from touring and merchandising. That's their major way to profit from being an artist.
No, you're right. I mean, and that's the reason why most of them are for it. You know, one of the people that I think is very interesting, that, you know, who is against the SOPA and PIPA, is Steve Niles. Steve Niles, you know, is a very famous comic book writer. He most recently came out on the last episode of what's that program called? The one where they find, you know, they get like Genghis Khan versus Attila the Hun.
Oh yeah.
Deadliest Warrior?
Yeah.
Is that what it is? Okay, so he came out on that one. Remember when they did the whole vampires versus werewolves? He supported the vampire side because, like, he knows so much about vampires. But he's against it. The only reason why I think that's kind of funny is because a few months back, he was pissed off because people were ripping off his comic books. And he was like, guys, stop ripping off my comic books. Like, seriously, like, if you like my comics, pay for them, because that's how I know whether I can continue to write my books or not. Because if you're just downloading them for free, the company says, we're cutting your line because nobody's buying them. And then before you know it, it's buying them. And then before you know it, it's gone. And people say, man, I never got to see how that story ended.
Yeah.
And I guess he wrote an issue, which he put up for free, because he was like, everybody had already downloaded it for free, which he was pissed off. He goes, so I might as well just put it for free. And when he did it, he wrote with the disclaimer saying, this is why I'm putting it for free, because, you know, people had already stole it, which was a really good issue where he couldn't make no profit off of it. So when this whole thing came out and he put a censored over his face and stuff, I thought it was kind of funny. I was like, well, you know, you were complaining one second about people stealing your stuff, but then you're against this. So, I mean, he's looking at the bigger picture, though, you know, of what would happen to the internet.
And I think it's more a fear of the government being the big brother, kind of controlling the internet. I think that's one of the major fears about this happening.
Yeah.
So, do you want to continue talking? Should we talk more about it, or should we just go?
Well, we didn't mention ACTA, which is another thing that's going on. ACTA is another one that's kind of been getting really under the radar, and the people are thinking it's brand new. And the reason why is because the government has been keeping it very secret. ACTA is actually an international thing that's very similar to SOPA and PIPA. But ACTA is not going to be a law. It's going to be a trade agreement. So it's going to be an agreement between different countries saying, hey, you know what, you know, we all just, you know, do not want illegal downloading, that people should have to pay for this. So that was like one of the things that ACTA is really pushing and striving for. Now, of course, because of the SOPA and people been coming out so much, and ACTA's been now also gotten better written. You know, like people have actually sat down and thought about it, and like, you know, have wrote out what it's going to be if it gets past it as well. So it's been coming out, so people think it's brand new, but it's very similar to it. But of course now that would change how everything's done. Like let's say you want to buy something or you want to download something from, you know, England. Well, this is going to change, like the whole thing is how it's going to be, because now they can, you know, convict you and, you know, and probably you know, extradite you and get you over there and the same
free
thing.
trip.
Yep, free trip, and you get to stay there for 50 years, free cost. So it is. This is something that, you know, and the reason why I think we really wanted to talk about, I mentioned, is because we really started thinking about technology itself. Like, what is it, what it has evolved to? I mean, to the point where people were saying there's going to be a war. This is a world war, but in the internet. It's like this fictional world that exists, and people are ready to fight for it. It's like, I'm a Lord of the Rings fan, and I'm going to fight for this country, and Gandalf's going to win. You know, it's like, you know, and it just sounds kind of crazy that people are so willing, you know, because there's so many things that have been coming out. Like, people are like, well, you know, the internet was designed to be free from the very beginning. But those same people don't realize what the internet has evolved to. I mean, the internet seems to need rules now.
Yeah, and I think what's fascinating about the whole internet sensation is like how we bring this up, the Occupy movement. And Anonymous altogether has been kind of like, I think I was talking to Steve this earlier this afternoon, is there's so many people that fight for one cause, fight for this cause, fight for this one. These people have decided to kind of be like a fight for all cause.
Yeah.
Because they fight against PIPA, they fight against SODA, but not only that, they fight against the Occupy movement. And then the one I found funny is, or not funny, but recently, is that they were standing and protesting against a conference in front of Monsanto Corporation.
Oh.
So they're actually, where everybody else is saying, oh, you know, they're crazy.
Yeah.
They're very
crazy.
They're very organized.
They are crazy too.
No, but they are very organized.
But that's beside the point.
Yeah. Well. Crazy sometimes good, you know.
It's like, well, you know, I think you know, with the whole hacking and everything, well, what really surprised me, especially when I heard about the SOPA and the PIPA and it really coming out, is like, okay, the government has a huge mess right now on its hands with the economic crisis, and now with this whole Occupy Wall Street because of the banks and everything, and then they really want to come out and try to do this. I mean, as I'm looking through your notes, I noticed that was the guy who introduced the bill was Lamar Smith,
a Republican,
who has to be a Republican, and from where? Texas. You know, and it's kind of like, really, Texas? You want to do that to us? Come on. It's like, can't you see that the whole country is in turmoil, and you want to take away their internet? I mean, it's like I read a joke the other day that when, you know, the mega upload got taken away, you know, and the hackers retaliated by shutting all these websites, and somebody made a comment of like, well, you know, those hackers, they love their porn, you know, so they're gonna fight for it. You know, but it's
till the death.
You know, and it's just this is not something the government really needs right now.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, the elections are coming up, and of course Obama has very clearly stated that if this comes up and if it gets passed in the House, you know, and stuff, that he's going to veto it. He's going to say, I'm going to send it back. I'm going to keep on sending it back. I'm not going to pass this act, you know, because he understands already that the way the people are.
And it's crazy because, like all the information I said, that this act is very, it breaks through every single line of what they want to do with it, and it's very controlling and kind of a manipulating thing, like where you said like an artist who wants to do free downloads, and that's going to be questioned, all kinds of stuff. Like, you're not really going to be, it's kind of unfair. And then like we were talking about it, it's like Big Brother controlling the internet. Nobody really owns the internet, and now I think it's some way of trying to say we own the internet. Yeah. So like when you're gonna go down and you want to look at something and the government finds it, finds it inappropriate. Yeah. You're gonna get what I get when I go on my home screen is a diagnostic check. There's website unfound or unknown.
Yeah.
So that's, I think, one of the major fears with people, because I think people have the right to have that kind of paranoia because the government has done some shady shit to us.
Yeah, well,
and so them trying to control that part, I think people are saying, how much more are they going to be able to control the internet?
I mean, I think that was also a big question of this whole, why would they do this to the mega upload?
Yeah. What do you call it? It's a great example. This is they thought about what one company, do people know that we can attack and can put it in public display?
Yeah. And that's exactly what it was.
They did. It was that's their mortar.
Because I think people were really like, well,
martyr.
It would be our martyr.
Yeah,
you know? That's a they take down the our one site that we wanted.
Damn you. Leave Mega Upload alone.
But and I think that's what it is, because people were saying, well, if this gets passed, does the FBI even have the power to do anything? Can they really even do anything? And so this is an example of saying, hey, yeah, we can. Watch, we'll show you. And then they take it down. And now, this person's on trial. And really it comes down to, do I want to create something? Do I want to get put in prison for 50 years? To the fullest extent that they possibly can because of something like this? Yeah, it's not worth it. I would right away. It's just like, no, it's not worth it. I wouldn't even try to download anything. And
the interesting thing you said is he has nothing to do with it anymore.
As far as I know that people were saying they went after the creator. I mean, he might have something still to do with it, but I mean, is he
making a profit out of Mega Profit from
Napster? Remember, he didn't make any money.
Question. That's my question, though. Is he making a profit? Because I can kind of see if they're attacking him because he's making a profit off of other people's...
Yeah, usually they don't. A lot of these times they don't. I mean... that they were complaining about wasn't that good.
Yeah.
It was really a horrible song. And it was kind of like, come on guys, you guys should have given it to us for free anyways.
It's probably that symphony one. The symphony album, the S&M.
No, it was a different one. Well, you have a lot of people who go against that. Like, you have 9 Inch Nails, who will give you their album free now. The last one, you can go to their website and download 9 Inch Nails. Radiohead did the same thing. They said, what was their slogan? It was something like... pay what you want.
Pay what you want.
Pay what you want.
That was you want to take it free and you think we're free, then do it. If no,
yeah.
And I think
I bought Radiohead's. I didn't buy 9 Inch Nails.
But I think Radiohead was the first one to actually name their price, and they said they actually broke sales of what their last big one or financially one was OK Computer, and it broke that sales. Yeah. And that's what people just donating and wanting to get what they want.
But not only that, like I was I bought the deluxe edition or something, so I mean, it wasn't like I wanted to download.
Yeah, and I bought In Rainbows like that.
Yeah, that's how I did.
They said give how much you want, and I was like, well,
and Pearl Jam's another one.
I was like, well, you know what? I really like you guys, so I think I'm gonna give you guys a slide of 20 in there for you guys.
As soon as Pearl Jam finished their contract deal, they said, okay, we're going to an indie label, and we don't want to deal with no more major
Monkey Wrench, right?
Is that who they're on now?
Yeah.
And I mean,
and that's the funny thing. I was going to bring up about the Wikipedia thing. Yeah, it's like $7.
Yeah,
I got Backspacer, and it was $7. I was like, really, a Pearl Jam album? But the funny thing is, like, you got me into this damn. You got to see that Pearl Jam 20. Pearl Jam 20. You got to see it. So I downloaded it on Netflix. Yeah. I was watching it, and I was like. And then, of course, me being like OCD about it, I'd be like, what else that I don't know? So I went to Wikipedia, and that's the day they shut it off. And I was like, and I forgot about it. I was like, what the fuck is wrong with this shit? Oh, it's like, all right, that's right. We're not supposed to be using it tonight.
Sorry. You should have told. Well, that's why I was upset, because I actually knew most of that information, and I wanted them to provide me with different information.
The document was. All right.
But, I thought the same thing. I didn't think it was all that great. The only good part is James Cameron, right off the bat, says, I've been a fan. I make movies, and before I made movies, I wrote for Rolling Stone. So I know about music, I know about movies, and I know about Pearl Jam. Yeah. So I was like, all right, You know
what the thing I did hate about Netflix is like, I'm hooked on watching biographies and documentaries, right? And I've seen some shitty ones, but for some reason I can't turn it off, and I have to finish the whole shitty one.
So SOPA, our Congress, please do us a favor. Write in SOPA very specifically that take off shitty documentaries and biographies for Hector Gomez, so this way he will not have to sit through them.
I'd be like, is it good? What. Oh, SOPA took it off. It must not be that great.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah. So, as we finish up on this part, we will be talking about the next thing that we're really excited. Well, I'm excited about.
This is my first page. I think it's just the first
First page? You got like 20 pages here. Wait. Give me my two. My 2 pages. These are my 2 pages, just in case you guys are wondering. Normally I have more.
You can hear me shuffling.
Yeah, my printer's messed up, so I had to handwrite everything, and I just got tired of handwriting everything, so I just try to memorize as much as I could.
I think the 2 pages you have are my 2 pages that I need.
What do you mean? These are my pages.
Are they your pages?
I don't have your pages.
Alright, my bad.
Sorry that we're having a little bit break in there. So, like we said, we're going to be talking about the Las Vegas, I think it's called like the Electronics Expo, like the biggest one of the year. Most things, of course, are always in Las Vegas. They have the biggest porn convention. They have the biggest computer convention. They also have, what is it? I think they have one for like carpentry.
And they have a Pimps and Hoes convention, in case you guys didn't know. And I actually saw it one time we were in Vegas, and we were looking outside the Strip, and it was next to the Flamingo. And you saw a bunch of Cadillacs and a bunch of Pimps and Hoes, and they were going to their convention. And it is true, there is a Pimp and Hoes convention in Las Vegas.
Is the biggest gun convention in Las Vegas as well, or is it in Reno or Texas?
No, it's in there,
Las Vegas?
yeah.
The only ones that aren't there that I know of are the Comic Con, which is in San Diego.
In New York now.
Yeah, that's it. And someone was saying today, barely, my friend Sam was telling me that they're thinking of trying to get rid of the Comic Con in San Diego, which I didn't know, and which would be really strange because it brings in a lot of revenue. And then the other big convention is the video game convention, which is E3, and that's hosted in Los Angeles.
And that's one of my things is I actually want to go to one of the Comic-Con conventions.
I do.
The whole 3 days, though. Not just like one day.
Well, at least 2 days. The third day is now mostly devoted to... because it always was only 2 days. And the third day got added because of all the people that go for movies.
Yeah.
So the third day
and that's the thing they're saying now that it's gone so mainstream now that a lot of people hate it because people go there just to see comics, the trailer of the next comic movie.
And, well, not just the comic movie. They released movies that have to do with just like action and stuff, like blockbusters. You
know what I found out too? History of Violence. Have you ever seen that movie?
Yes, it's a comic book, and the comic book is great.
That's insane.
You have to read that. Actually, that's the reason why they turned it into a movie, because the comic book is an independent comic book, and it's very well written. You know, I can't remember who is the writer or the artist right now, but it almost has the artwork like of Eddie Campbell, and it's and the movie's good too. Did you like that movie?
Yeah,
it's intense.
I like that movie.
I liked it a lot.
I didn't know it was a comic book. I said based on a graphic novel, and I was like, oh, it must mean like an intense novel. I didn't think it was like a comic book.
But now that you've entered the world of comic books, you know that graphic novels means comic books. It's just a long form of it.
It's a fancy way. Yeah, it's a long form.
It's a long comic, basically.
And sometimes it has a lifespan, and it's done.
Yeah, no, it usually is. Like History of Violence is... I don't know, it's probably about 200 pages or something, you know? But it's a smaller trade back. It's not like the large ones, and that's how I read it. And
then once it's done, it's done.
Yeah, but I think the comic, it's a little bit different from the movie, and it's just as good. So before we keep on going on this crazy tangent, we're going to jump right into our technology. I got most of mine. What really excited me was the Huffington Post. One of the writers ended up, talking about the 9 things that he thought that were great at this, Las Vegas Expo, and so then I mentioned it to Hector, and I don't know, did you get excited about any of the things that you started looking them up? Because it's kind of crazy. I found some of the stuff was intriguing, but more of the stuff that I was looking online, and I found like the stuff I told you about the flash drives and all that. And, that's
and all that stuff's insane.
Okay.
So should I tell?
Yeah, go ahead.
You said it right. I always say it wrong. It's there's actually going to be a flash drive.
Tetrabyte.
That's going to be a tetrabyte flash drive.
Drive.
It's like a thumb drive, right? And it fits, and it's a tetrabyte.
That's just
and I
insane.
guess they're running about. They're not sure if it's going to be from $500 to $1,000. And the only reason that they're going to do that is because the tetrabyte, because it has so much memory. It needs a lot more.
So this little thing would hold a full tetrabyte. Yeah. Currently, this thing only has 8 gigabytes.
8 gigabytes.
8 gigabytes.
So you're gonna have a tetrabyte,
which is 1,000 gigabytes. Which means like 1,000 gigabytes on this little thing.
Which means too, though, like person who like me who makes a film, like if I have too much space, instead of carrying my whole lacy Porsche hard drive that I have,
or an external hard drive,
that I have, I can just get one of these bad boys and carry it everywhere.
But that surprises me because even the Passport external hard drives, which are a lot smaller, most of the time only have like 800 gigabytes. They don't run the
I
1
don't know
terabyte.
how they figured
I know,
out how to
that-
do
I
it,
think that-
but like I said, the reason it prices so much because they're like, well, you can get like a tetrabyte from Lacey for maybe like $300. Why are they going to charge $1,000 or whatever?
Yeah.
And it's because there's a lot of gold in it because that's a lot of massive energy that's going through this thing as well.
And who did you say is going to be the first one to probably?
They said that
release it?
Apple would be the first ones to sell it on their shelves.
So
and,
even without Steve Jobs, Apple's still the is a major
well, that's a major
business for
that's a
innovation.
huge
Yeah.
that's a huge accomplishment to have
Oh,
a
it is.
tetrabyte on a
Well,
flash drive.
I mean, think about it. They were the ones who, when they had their iPods, even to have music. I mean, they put 60 gigs, and they would go to 80.
Can you imagine
and it
a
was like
tetrabyte
160?
iPod?
Oh man!
I mean,
they could now. Yeah, you're
Yeah.
right. But it would just be
maybe that's why they're
expensive.
selling
Yeah.
it. Maybe they're gonna
Or
use
even
that
a
technology.
tetrabyte iPhone. I mean, you can have all your apps, and you can have videos.
It'd be
and-
the first iPhone would be probably worth $1,000 to buy.
Yeah, and people would buy it though. So, anyways, we're talking about something that would have
And that's
go
one of
way
those things
in the
too
future,
is
but the
iPhone
tetrabyte-
5.
Yeah, an iPhone
Maybe
5
with the
is
whole
coming.
tetrabyte, who knows? Maybe they'll become.
Well, maybe they won't have a tetrabyte, but they probably can make that technology where they can have their iPhone 5 to have a lot more gigabytes now. So they could probably run this with no problem, or 80 gigabytes, very easy on an iPhone.
And go ahead and talk about that television.
Okay, so one of mine that I was really excited about was LG. It's announced that they're going to release a 55-inch, and it's called an OLED 3D TV. And this thing is amazing. If you haven't seen it, go to YouTube, type in LG OLED TV, and it's 4 millimeters thick. So to give you an example, it's probably maybe about 30 pages. No, it's skinnier than your finger. It's about 30 pages, I want to say, thick. Like if you were to get 30 pages of paper, it's probably about that thick. If you're watching the video, it's about that. And if you watch the YouTube video, it's really amazing.
There's a guy's talking, right?
The guy's talking
Sideways.
and he's so the TV's sideways. And so I'm gonna spoil it for you because you got to go look at it anyways. Is that the TV's there, but you don't notice it. And as you're talking, all of a sudden they shift the camera slightly, so this way you notice it, and all of a sudden the TV just like unfolds. And as I showed Malika earlier, she's even said, "I gotta see this again. Can you put it from the beginning because you want to see it? You're like, wait, what is it?"
So the way that this one has to work because it's so thin is that there has to be like a hub or portal that's feeding the information.
Yeah, well, there's still, the ports and everything in the bottom of like a regular TV, but it's just that it's so super thin because it's an OLED TV. And not only that, I thought it was impressive that it's 3D. So not only is it just a regular TV, it's and it's 3D, so they use all that new technology to make it like even pop out of the screen.
I still think 3D is just kind of a...
I really don't like 3D,
Yeah,
but I just thought that
more of a...
But the technology that they did this in a TV that's 4 millimeters thick is awesome. And I don't know if you saw the color itself, how vibrant it was.
Yeah,
It looks just as good, if not even better, than some of the HD TVs that they have out right now.
And then what's the other one that I saw was the Samsung Galaxy Note is going to come out, and they said it's basically like an oversized superphone that you'll be able to write on the tablet and everything else, and then you can actually flip it around, and then it becomes a phone, and it's almost like an iPad phone, if you can imagine that.
Well, Samsung that is their name of their tablet. No, wait, what's the name of their tablet? Is it Galaxy as well? Because they do have a tablet.
Yeah.
So is this a tablet then, or is it going to be a phone?
It says it's oversized superphone.
So is it going to be like the
Nexus 4.65 screen.
Oh, 4.6.
Yeah.
So it's going to be like
First
the
glance.
HTCs, like the HTC.
Yeah. You know what?
Evos,
It's probably going to look like the old-fashioned Palms. Remember the Palms?
Oh yeah, that's right.
So
Because
it's
those were
probably
tablets, and you could write.
It's probably going to be one of
I
those.
miss
They're probably
Palms.
going to reintroduce.
Would come
Well,
out
there
with
you go.
something.
You can go ahead and buy the Samsung Galaxy Note.
My sister had a Palm.
And it'll
Man,
be like
I
a
forgot
Palm.
about that. That was a really good. I completely forgot about that technology. Look at what happens. We advance so quickly. And Palms were huge. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And the guy who was the inventor of Palms, they fired him or something like that. Like he left the company. So when he took off, he ended up making another one called Handsprings. So a lot of people who were fans of Palms from the early days jumped onto Handsprings.
And here's a with the whole palms and that, I worked in the medical field, right?
Yeah.
And I guess too, what's happening this year is that Android is going to introduce a super. I guess they're going to call it the heavy duty super tablet, which is going to carry a lot more information. It's basically going to be used for the medical field for doctors because they use Hippocrates, which is a based program that you can check medications. You can see how much a dose you can give somebody.
Wow.
It also gives you information. Like I can download it on my phone.
Yeah.
It's called, I think it's Hippocrates or Epicrates. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. Because the Filipinos are the ones that pronounce it for me, the doctors, so I'm not sure how it's pronounced.
I was like, who are you calling a hypocrite?
Yes, and they always say Hippocrates, so I'm not sure which way it's pronounced, but
maybe it's named after the famous Greek philosopher.
Yeah, it could be. And what happens is like what I see now in the medical field is doctors are now using iPads to do everything. They get their information and everything else.
You guys have some there at your job?
All the doctors have an iPad, and they use it to dictate.
I wish we had iPad. You know, that would be awesome if I worked in
dictate, and then they, because I work like in a teaching facility, right?
Yeah.
They download their anatomy books and everything else in there. So once they're in there with the patient, they can actually flip through the.
I'm going to bring that up to my store manager at the fast food, and I'm going to say, you know what? I'm going to start. Ordering, and so when people order, I can just touch it with a touch screen and say, okay, here's your total.
Have you ever seen like a doctor
download?
I mean, I know a lot of people don't work with doctors, but when they're they're coming with
I really don't like them.
When they're first starting, they have to cram so much information, and so you see a little book here, a little book here of medicine, a little book over here of like simple stuff that they
a little flask up here,
a little flask right here, a little Mary Jane over here because of the stretch days. But what the iPad does, it eliminates all these little books, and including the tablet that they can write their notes on.
But what about the flasks? How are they going to eliminate? You can't
substitute the flask.
Oh, you can't substitute. So that is actually really interesting. On the node of cell phones, because I noticed that you wrote down quite a bit. Of course, everybody's trying to come out with a new cell phone,
and that's like the major thing now in these days is who's going to come out with the bigger and faster cell phones.
One of the ones that I think is very interesting, and I want to mention this one only because I don't think it's going to be that great of a phone, but this is almost their last chance to stay within the market of cell phones. Because
it's BlackBerry?
No, it's the Nokia Lumia.
Oh.
The one that you were saying, the 900, and it actually has the operating systems on it is the Microsoft Windows Phone. So they don't use Android, of course, and they don't use Apple has their own operating systems and stuff. They have the Windows one. So basically, if Nokia doesn't really make the revenue that they need on this phone, they might not really be able to keep in competition with all the other cell phone companies that keep on coming out. And Nokia, of course, has been in a slump, lately because everybody else is going to all the other ones that have the Android operating systems, Samsung and Motorola, and they support it fully. So it does look really nice. I mean, I'm sure there's people that are going to be, buying it. They really need to try to market it where people will need to go out and try to get it. One of the things that they did do, since it does have Microsoft operating systems on it, is it's hooked up to your Xbox, so you can play the games that you might play on your downloadable content on your Xbox 360, and you can play it on the phone, and then this way it would share the information, which is something that Xbox had announced at E3 like 3 or 4 years back.
Yeah, I remember that.
And I did too, and I was waiting for it. I was like, Microsoft was like, okay, you know what, the great thing about Xbox is because we already make computers or the operating systems. One day you'll be able to have everything on your computer, your Xbox 360, and your cell phone. And if you want your stats of your kill-death ratios, you can look everything up all at once, depending on whichever device you have. It hasn't come out yet, so this might be their opportunity to finally shine on that department.
You know what? And I don't have it on here, but I was reading it. I think Sony was going to make a phone too that was compatible to the PSP games.
Well, they have one. It's the Sony Vita. I believe.
Yeah.
Is that one that they just finished.
But
Ericsson is the one that does it.
Yeah,
Ericsson.
but they had the new PSP Vita that was released in Japan, and it's had such horrible sales that I don't even think they're going to try to release it here.
It's released here already. They did. I didn't know how bad the sales were for it, though. But I know, it was a huge jump because what happened was if they would have come out with this maybe 3-4 years ago, it would have been great. But the big question that people have been saying is, look, we already can play games on our cell phones. So what are you going to offer us?
Yeah.
Just because they're a higher quality of kind of game, it's
pay
like, no,
$29 when you can go for $4.99 to 99 cents,
yeah,
or
exactly.
even free one.
It's like, if I'm addicted to Angry Birds, why the hell do I want to buy the new Grand Theft Auto that's going to cost me $60? Like, I'll just play a $1 game, and go ahead and do this.
Here's my thing, though. With all these phones coming out, Sony, Samsung, Android market, and everything else, I'm still a huge fan of the Apple phones. Just because I think they're more simpler. I like that when I can put music on there.
You're a fanatic.
No, but when I can put music on there, the music doesn't go everywhere. Like it categorizes itself. It's nice, and I think it's because I have the Mac with it too, that I can just sit it next to it and it starts updating and talking to itself.
This is a crazy tangent, but I'm just going to mention it real quick.
Right.
But I think it's interesting. There was a study done about 5 years back, and I think it was like either Stanford or like Berkeley that did it. And they sat people in a room, and of course they hooked up a whole bunch of electrodes to their brain to see which areas of the mind get stimulated. People that are religious fanatics about like Christianity, like Jesus Christ, like there's a certain area of the brain that gets activated, and it starts to like really send all these transmitters through and everything. Well, when they talk to people who really firmly believe like in Mac and like Mac users, the same thing happens in their brains.
I believe it.
And I thought this study was, I know it's a tangent, but I just thought it was really interesting that the same areas, like they get really into it. Like they're like, no, we're firm believers in it. Kind of like, I'm a firm believer in Jesus Christ. Like he's going to be coming.
I'm a firm believer of Steve Jobs. And I mean, what can I say?
You are, and he will come back. He will come back for you. Hector, he will come back for you. You don't have to worry about it. One day, you just got to keep on waiting.
Yeah, but and I think too that I was introduced to Apple since a kid. I had one since '97. I still remember it's like my first car. I bought my first Apple in '97. Never went to PC ever again. So when I get on PC, I'm completely lost.
And you know what they say? Once you go Mac, you never go back. So jumping off of the topic of cell phones now. Let's see, what else did I get? One of the other ones that I was excited about myself personally, would I get it? Probably not. It was called Exodesk from ExoPC, and it's a 40-inch touchscreen. So basically, like you have your laptop right here, you would get this 40-inch. I mean, it's 40 inches. It's really huge, and you would lay it right on top of where your keyboard's at, and you would hook it up, and now the whole thing becomes touchscreen. So what it is all your apps and everything get onto the touchscreen. So it automatically transfers everything.
How good would the rendering and pixelation be from going from a
so you still have your screen though. So you can see everything on your screen. So everything's still there, but now everything is touchscreen. So it's all organized. So let's say you have your files and your folders, you can just touch them real quick and drag them over and start messing with everything. Let's say like
kind of like Star Trek when they see that and you're just going
exactly.
Yeah.
But you know how like here, like right now before we started, and I was like, hey man, you need to get a mouse because you have to like slide everything over. You can just grab and drag things and just do it all with your fingers. It's an open platform system, so they want other companies to design like apps the same way like your iPods is open platform. They basically say we want you to design like programs for this. So you can design applications for this Exodesk. This might be like the next big thing where people will be like, oh yeah, I'm going to design something for that because I could sell it for $1 and make $1 million.
Yeah. And I don't know if people know this. You know what? It's not $1,000. I think it's only $100.
Oh, to make
I have to check.
An app?
But you actually can go to the App Store or you can go to iTunes, to the app.
Not only that, but they take, I think, is it like 10% or 20% of like every sale? So if you sell something for $1, they take, I think it's like 20 cents or something.
Yeah. The thing is, like, you can go on there, you buy your rights to make an app, they give you the tools and all the JavaScripts and everything else to help you build it. I think that's kind of fascinating that now in these days, not only can you...
That's old news. Come on, Hector. We're going in with the new stuff. Let's see.
I'm just saying, no, but here's the new stuff, though, about
okay,
this.
What?
It's that actually elementary schools in certain parts of, like,
Texas?
Chicago and that
are doing
app classes for kids. And kids, and I'm not talking about high school kids, I'm talking about elementary kids that are building their own apps.
Well, it's like building blocks.
Yeah, but I think it's fascinating that now that they have a class now for kids.
Hey man, it's cheaper. Why are you going to go pay some computer software engineer, you know, like $100,000 a year when you could just have this kid?
My 3-year-old kid, right, Nicky, right?
Yeah.
He is on the phones playing all the time on our phones, and the thing I bring this up is that he actually overdrafted on my credit card, and bought a bunch of apps. And I was wondering, how did he do it? Because it's a password.
Yeah.
Well, he's seen me put the password. This is a 3-year-old kid who figured out how to copy my password and
hacked your system.
And basically bought enough games to overdraft my credit card where I couldn't use it anymore.
So he hacked your phone.
Yeah, he's anonymous. But that's what I'm trying to get. Like back in the days with us.
That crazy status that you put on Facebook the other day, that wasn't you, that was actually him?
That's probably him.
He probably put like, you just got hacked, bitch.
yeah. But that's another thing that I think is absolutely interesting. Is like, in our age, when we were kids, when would you think we would be playing on phones and on computers? Except Oregon Trail.
Yeah. G.I. Joe's.
Yeah, and now kids can call and play video games and...
calling. I'd yell over my friends, hey, can you come out and play?
Can you imagine us 3 years old
throw rocks at the windows.
3 years old playing Mortal Kombat and actually knowing how to do those moves?
Oh, yeah.
That's how kids are now. It's fascinating.
So, moving on, is there anything else specific that you want to talk about before we run out of time? There was a few more things that I want to talk about.
Okay, go for it.
One of them that I was really excited about, well, I guess this will blend into 3 different things, but it seems like the next big thing is going to be where you wear goggles and there's going to be like screens and stuff on it. So one of them is going to be Verizon. I know it's a phone company. Verizon is making one called the Golden Eye. You can check that one out online too. And what that one basically is, and it's kind of ugly and it's bulky, but it's a headset and it slides right over your eye.
I've seen that one, yeah.
Yeah, and it has a screen there. So it's also going to be connected Bluetooth. So let's say you need to do things that are hands-free. You could say, bring up my Siri, bring up my text messages. Well, it's going to bring them up and you'll be able to read them right off the screen while you're driving or doing whatever. You know, of course, that's just like the elementary part of what, you know, this can be possible for. Like the way you were saying, the medical field has embraced the iPad. Mm-hmm. People have said, well, let's say you're a firefighter and you don't know the layout of the building. So now you can say schematics of the building. Now you have both hands, though, to fight the fire as you're doing this, right? The schematics of the building will pop up on this little screen. You can say, where are the other people, you know, like other firefighters? And they'll put them within the building so you know exactly where everybody's at. So since you all have it all linked up, you will be able to, you know, do things like this a lot easier. Of course, this can be implications in military, you know, and a lot of other things. So I think that was something that I was really excited about because it looks cool and it's the wave of the future. So one thing that I didn't write down, but I thought was really interesting that I started is that I don't know why, but Polaroid decided it was a great idea to hire Lady Gaga to help them design stuff. So Lady Gaga, and I guess in one of my, don't ask me why, but they thought it was a great idea, not to promote their stuff, to design their stuff. So they must be pretty desperate.
Because Will.i.am is doing stuff for PC,
I don't know.
For Windows, now they're deciding that Lady Gaga can design some stuff too.
Well, you know, Polaroid has already stopped doing their cameras where the instant photos come out because, I mean, digital cameras have basically taken that over and they were going under that, so they closed that whole department down. Well, Lady Gaga, I guess, decided on one of her tours in one of her shows, since she always has some kind of interesting things. She actually got 2 screens of an iPod and put them in glasses, so like they were running the whole time. She thought, wouldn't this be cool if this was a real invention? So Polaroid has gone ahead with this, and she has helped them to design. But they're actually lenses that you can put on, and it will take pictures digitally. It will save it to an SD card there. And it also comes with the part where you can, same thing now. Now you can print out pictures, but digitally, so they come out a lot more fancy and stuff. And so it has the whole thing with the goggles. So that's another thing with the goggles, that's going to have lenses that's going to be coming out, you know, sometime within the next year. It looks like, you know, this is not something that's, you know, 2-3 years. I mean, they already have the prototypes that they've been doing. So then the third thing that has to do with goggles. And I had to explain it to him, like, as, you know, because she was like, well, what is it that we're looking at? Well, let's say you have one TV and you want to watch something and Crystal wants to watch something. Well, who decides? You know, like,
Crystal.
Okay. But now, with the new innovations, let's see, Samsung Dual View and Dual Sound HD TV. It's a prototype. There's no date yet, but you don't have to decide. Basically what it is they've taken what I'm guessing is like the 3D technology, you know, where there's like two things, and when you put the glasses,
it splits the screen.
Okay, so now they're going to put the two stations overlapping on each other. So you're going to put your goggles on, and it's also going to have an earpiece so you can hear what's going on. You're going to be able to see your station, and she could put her goggles on, and she's going to be able to see her station on one TV. You know, which, I mean, who really kind of wants that? Of course, you know, there are the people that are like the tech fiends out there that do want something like this.
I don't know if these people know, but there's actually this other technology that's a little bit old called DVR, where one person can watch their show, and then once that show's over, they can actually go...
Come on, though, that's old stuff. I just told you, we got to come in with the new things, you know?
It just seems like a waste of...
Well, now, but that's the beginning of it, right? So then I started thinking, you know, well, what about on gaming? Let's say that you're, instead of having a split screen, and you got this guy over here, you know, doing screen watching and saying, hey, why are you watching my screen for? You know where I'm at everywhere. But if we each have our own goggles on, he can't watch where I'm at. So now we can be on the same TV. It's not a split screen. We can actually see a full screen instead of that little tiny little corner, you know, that splits up, you know, when you do it. And so that's another implication, you know, if you can do gaming like that, which might be something that... where it might end up trying to go in the long run, because you know gaming is
I think it'd probably be better off for gaming.
I mean, these things that you know that we talk about, I mean, they bring them out. This is just prototypes. I mean, other people see it, get excited, and say, "Hey, have you thought of this?" And they're like, "No, we haven't." And that's where a lot of these things end up coming from. You know.
You know what? Sony's been failing a lot lately. Like. The Vita, the PSP Vita one in Japan, but then also remember they released that 32-inch television that was specifically an entertainment screen, which had 3D high definition surround sound, and they were selling it for like $500, and you can go now to Best Buy and get it for like $199.
So you're gonna get one?
No. Why would I want to? And see, that's the thing. It doesn't make sense. Why would you want to pay $500 for that little dinky? I don't even think it's 32-inch. I think it was smaller than that. When you can basically go for the same price and go to Walmart or something and buy like a 42-inch television.
A no-name brand. Yeah.
Yeah.
No. I mean, I agree. And well, Sony has different departments, and that department is just not doing so well. You know, I mean, the PlayStation 3, as far as I know, when they come out with E3, you know, in the coming months, I think they're going to have a lot of things that are going to be coming out. That's going to be really fantastic. I'm excited.
And the next thing coming out this year too is for the Wii. They're coming out with the high definition Wii.
Yeah.
Or the port for the high definition part.
No, not only that, but I'm not sure if it's supposed to be released later this year, because they announced it. And so there will be a new Wii that will be coming out with a new controller and everything. And they announced it last year at E3, but they were saying, of course, that it wasn't going to be till like this year, I believe. So this year at E3, they should finally show this is the final product and actually have one.
Do you know if there's anything for Xbox coming out as well?
No, Xbox last year was really pushing their Kinect. And I think because the games still went to the Las Vegas thing, even though it's not that huge for gaming. And I think that's still what they're really trying to push is their motion sensors of Kinect. And that seems to be another direction. Like I just talked about the goggles. Another thing is motion that's really going. One of the things that I got to see as I looked up on the Huffington Post also was a small Swedish company called Tobii, I'm not sure, it's Tobii, has a Windows 8 and it's called Gaze Eye Control. And basically what it is as you're on your laptop, they got these kind of lasers that read your eyes, and those
retina readers and stuff.
Yeah, and it calibrates and it tells you these are your eyes. And so, like, let's say you're reading a screen or something, right? Well, as your eyes naturally go down on the screen, the text will go up because it knows that your eyes are going down. And then they showed things like video games, right? They actually had a game that people could play right there, and it was like asteroids going, and you use your eyes to blow up the asteroids. Like you just look at the asteroid, it's like you got the power of Darth Vader, so they're like. It's like, take that, Han Solo.
I think that's going to conclude our podcast because our light's blinking, so tape is running low.
Okay. So, we want to just announce, you know, for our next podcast, we're going to be talking about...
I'm actually really excited. I'm excited.
He's really excited. Yeah, you just transformed.
Team Scorsese.
Yeah, Team Edward. No, Team Scorsese. You're the only one out there. The only fool with the Team Scorsese
You know what?
t-shirt.
I'm probably going to make a Team Scorsese shirt for that one so people can watch. Do you want one?
No, I'll try to go on. Well, maybe I will because I can't think of anyone else that really made me excited.
Are you going to go Team... Who's the other one?
Nobody really made me that excited this year, you know? I mean, last year I had...
The King's Speech was last year, right?
And, yeah, I know, but I was more excited for Nolan and Aronofsky. And I know they haven't won anything.
Yeah.
Oh, well, before we keep... We're excited about the Oscars that are going to be coming up.
Turn this one off.
Okay.